What's up, filmmakers? My name is Jason McCutcheon, and we're going to be talking about the Rode Wireless Pro, which is an awesome 32-bit float lav microphone and recorder made by Rode. We're going to get to it, but before we do, a lot of you might be thinking, that's a really old product. Why is it taking you so long to make a video about it? Why do I even care about this? And before we do the review, I want to talk about that a little bit and explain to you some of my thinking behind how I just chose to do a review like this. If you're not familiar with how it works, oftentimes companies will reach out to YouTubers if you have any kind of significant following, and they'll say, hey, we got this new product, you want to review it? And sometimes they bring you on to the launch team, and other times they'll send it to you maybe a couple of months after or right when after it's released. I don't know how these decisions are made by these companies, but they do it multiple different ways. But at the end of the day, their expectation is you're going to make a video about their product. And I think the YouTube impulse that a lot of YouTubers have is, hey, I'm going to get this video done for launch so I can be on that initial wave that the algorithm rewards of people wanting to know, should I buy this product? And I totally get that. It makes total sense. If you're a YouTuber and that's how you do it, I'm not criticizing you. For me, when I think about the purpose of wedding film school and what is interesting to me, it's not interesting to me to be an influencer. I don't really care about this. I do want to help people, and I want to help people make great wedding films. And first and foremost, my number one concern is being a great wedding filmmaker. And so I thought about that, and I said, what kind of person do I want to be on YouTube? Do I want to hit those day one releases? Maybe sometimes, but that's not my primary purpose. My primary purpose is to be a good wedding filmmaker who can give you the perspective of a wedding filmmaker on gear. Because my guess is you want to be a wedding filmmaker and you don't want to just know the specs of this gear, because you can look at B&H yourself. You want to know, does this work in the real world for wedding filmmaking? So that all leads into this review for the Rode Wireless Pro. The question is not, is this good? It's not, what are the specs? The question is it good for wedding filmmaking? So here we go. Let's review and talk about the Rode Wireless Pro. So if you don't know about the product, basically this is the improved version of the Rode Wireless Go. They've kind of improved everything. It has over 800 feet of range. It's allegedly got like 40 hours of record time built into it, which I've never tested, but that's crazy. It's got like 7+ hours of battery life, locking mic jacks, which is something that I'm really grateful for. It's got this cute little charging case, and actually an extra annoying, we'll talk about this later, accessory case, and just a bunch of things that are overall quality of life improvements. Now the question is, do any of these improvements make an impact on wedding filmmakers? And I honestly think some of them really do. So I want to talk to you guys about my experience using these microphones. I tried them as many different ways as possible, all the ways you might use a microphone at a wedding. And I'm here to tell you, it's a really good product. And I think for a lot of you guys, it's going to be a really good purchase. Now, there are some negatives, and we'll get to that. But first, I want to talk about what I enjoyed about it.
Sorry to interrupt this video, but I wanted to make sure that you guys know about something pretty awesome.
Now the first thing I love is that the kit comes with 2 transmitters and 1 receiver, although I believe you can buy a 1 transmitter version. I don't know why you would do that though. And it comes with microphones, which is really nice. I also really love the sound of the built-in microphones that are on the transmitters. You are going to have a use for both microphones, and so I think you're getting the best of both worlds. And it's not the first that's ever done it. These guys do the same thing with the DJI Mic. I think it's just becoming the standard that every single transmitter would have a microphone built in with kind of the advent of influencers. But as wedding filmmakers, we can take advantage of that, especially with the 32-bit float. we don't have to worry as much about peaking out that audio. I was able to use this built-in mic a bunch of different ways. At rehearsal dinners, I was able to just take that magnet and just clip it onto a mic stand and get a nice backup direct recording, which actually ended up sounding really amazing, and I think we used it.
Not only did he perform our ceremony, but he also acted as our chauffeur, our photographer, and the only guest at our 3-person wedding.
This is how the lavaliers mic sounds on one of our subjects.
Being a husband is a thankless job, but it's a job that Dean will continue to do, even if it means ruining Caroline's fun sometimes.
And we even used an attenuator and recorded directly from a soundboard to see how that sounds, and this is how that sounds.
Welcome to this beautiful occasion that we're gathered to celebrate the union of Scott and Mackenzie. Welcome to this beautiful occasion that we're gathered to celebrate the union of Scott and Mackenzie.
Honestly, I think you could get away with this being your only piece of audio gear at a wedding, and you could probably make it work. As long as you bought an attenuator, which you really need at least a minus 15 dB attenuator to use something like this, preferably minus 30, preferably multiple options. But with minimal investment, I think you could get away with using these at most any wedding, and I think it's really, really solid. The battery life, I never had issues with. To be honest, I didn't really fully test it because I never needed to. We never ran out of battery, not one time. I never ran into a limitation with that. I don't think most wedding filmmakers would either. Another thing I love about this is the 32-bit float recording, even though I don't find it super useful. That being said, I think it's the standard going forward, and I'd rather have it than not. And this has it. It works, it's great. It gives you that extra peace of mind. If you don't know what 32-bit float recording is, essentially it's a higher dynamic range to your audio recording, allowing you to record louder and quieter things and fix it in post in case you peak it out or maybe you record a little too quiet. And that's always a great feature to have, a great security if you make a mistake or someone talks really quiet or really loud. It gives you all those abilities. I mean, I'll show you right now. There's a 32-bit float recording and I'm yelling! There's a 32-bit float recording and I'm yelling!
We're gonna whisper right here. Hopefully we can recover this. We're gonna whisper right here. Hopefully we can recover this.
It works. So one thing that I loved about this one, that's not so much a feature that I loved about this, but it's an improvement over the past. I have seen this time and time again with a lot of products over the years. Bad clocks inside of the recorders cause terrible drift. What is drift? Well, drift is when you have like a 40-minute long audio clip next to a 40-minute long video clip and you sync them together, and over time they drift out of sync. And it's one of the #1 things I look for in any kind of recorder. Does it have drift? I just want to sync it up one time and know that the first minute of that wedding ceremony is going to be in sync with the 30th minute of the wedding ceremony. But we found these audio files stayed in sync, they didn't cause drift, and they worked really well. I love the included charging case. I think it's awesome. Obviously, it's not innovative, but I think it's a must and it works. The sound of all the microphones sounds really good. The battery life is nice. The connection and the range was really good. We didn't experience tons of drop off and things like that. It works really well for wedding filmmaking. The timecode feature in this is kind of a single direction timecode. It's not like Tentacle, which has wireless timecode and the ability to work with a range of devices. It pretty much jams timecode directly from the receiver using the 3.5-inch cable. So it needs certain cameras that have the ability to receive timecode that way. It also cannot receive timecode from another device. So it kind of just, it's very limiting, the timecode feature, and it's not something I need and it's not something I used. So it's inconclusive, and I purposely didn't use it because A, I wouldn't use it, and that's kind of what I'm trying to go with. I'm not trying to give you a highlight of all the features, and if timecode is super important to you, I kind of question why in terms of wedding filmmaking, but also it's not important to me, so I'm not going to review it because I don't know crap about it. That being said, I'm glad that they added it, and for some people, it might be a super useful feature. You want to use it that way and it works for you? Awesome. I've heard it works great. Now let's talk about the things that I actually don't like that I know. The first thing that I don't love about this product is really the form factor. It's just gigantic. Look at the difference in size between the DJI Mic and the Rode Pro. In certain situations, the size of the transmitter, it's really not a big deal, but I do personally think it would be nice if it was either a little smaller or a little thinner so you could use it in more situations at weddings without kind of popping out and being super, super present. Just look how obvious it is magnetized to this mic stand. Giant lights, giant logos, just kind of everything about the presentation of this is just screaming, look at me, I am a transmitter. Even if you get a white version of this for brides, I still think it's gonna stand out a lot clipped to a bride. That being said, most of the time it's packed away, so it's not a big deal. It's not a deal breaker, it's just something I noticed. One other thing about the size that does bother me, getting these things out of this thing, it is a pain in the butt. As much as I like having a charging case, like I said, it's kind of annoying and a little overly snug, and I end up hitting all the buttons. That's kind of annoying. I don't know what they could have done about it, but it's annoying. What I really think is having two cases is really annoying. First of all, they look kind of exactly the same with a few exceptions. This has like obviously the input on it and a little logo on top. This accessory case does not, but when you're like looking at your case and it's really dark and you're inside of a reception shooting a wedding, it can be hard to see. And I wish they made them a little visually different so that they weren't exactly the same. It'd be easier to identify in a dark room. This is just kind of a dumb case design. In order to get to anything, you just have to take every single stupid thing out to get to what you want. And I honestly think that I hate that. I even like the way that DJI decided to do it better, having a little bag with little compartments in it that this fits into. That to me is more convenient. On multiple times during weddings, I grabbed the wrong case. You know, those are the little things when you're shooting weddings that you notice. How easy is it to make a mistake with? And I found this was kind of easy. And oftentimes when I was opening up this accessory case, I ended up making a big mess just to find what I needed, and I didn't love that. My actual biggest criticism with these is the placement of some of the buttons. If you ever use these microphones, they have a built-in cold shoe mount, which is also the clip. But the issue is you end up hitting all the buttons when you're trying to put it in there. The lack of a physical hold button on the actual receiver is an issue, and it's something that I think would have resolved it. And the fact that it doesn't have a physical hold switch means every time you jam that thing on there, you're gonna be risking hitting a bunch of buttons. If you've never shot a wedding, typically what most people do is they mic up the groom and they mic up the officiant. So we mic them up, and while I'm doing that, I'm hitting the record button on each transmitter to make sure that I know that I'm recording. Now, I don't know if this is the case because I don't know, but all I know is we recorded the wedding and I come in and the guys tell me, oh, your recording stopped really early and at 2 different times. I think that when I stuck it on the actual camera, I hit the record button. That is just a giant button right on the receiver, which is a nice feature, right? You can hit record and stop start both transmitters right from your receiver. That's a good feature. But because of the placement of the button, I didn't see it or notice it. So at the very least, I wish they either had a record indicator light on the side of the receiver or a hold button, so that way when you're sticking it on, you don't accidentally stop both of your microphones. It's a simple little issue, and once you understand how it works, it's not a big deal. To be honest, it never happened again after that, and it's not something that I think I would be a repeat problem, but it's a small little gripe that I have, and it's something worth noting. The other issue I have with this is honestly back to that terrible Rode app. And it's not just that the app is terrible, it's just annoying to have to use an app. There's a whole bunch of settings that are actually kind of buried in the app. And some of them you can change directly on the receiver, but a lot of times it's easier to do it in the app. For instance, one of my editors came up to me and said, hey, why are these 24-bit and these are 32-bit float? I went and looked, and actually you have to change them both manually from 24-bit to 32-bit before it records that. In my opinion, I think they should ship in 32-bit mode. I don't see why you would advertise a feature that important and then make the person have to go enable it to use it. Like, I don't even understand why anyone would ever record 24-bit except they had a camera limitation or a computer limitation. That being said, I really can't understand why you'd want one in 24 and one in 32-bit. And it was kind of annoying when we found out that we thought we were testing 32 on both of them, but we were actually only recording 32 on one of our transmitters and the other was recording 24. And I think at the end of the day, with any kind of product like this, it's like, if you know how to use it and you understand its quirks, these things are all very, very small issues. But as a wedding filmmaker, you're moving quick. Once you screwed it up, you already screwed it up. So in conclusion, what do I think? Is this good for weddings or not? Well, It's really good for weddings, actually. Like, I honestly think that if you are looking for a wireless lav recorder combo, especially stereo, in the wedding space, that this is definitely your best option. So in conclusion, guys, I really do believe that the Rode Wireless Pro is probably the best combo transmitter recorder on the market right now for wedding filmmaking. It's very simple. The battery life is good, it has tons of recording time, the microphones sound really nice, and the files work really good in post. It's got a few things I don't love about it, the button placements, the annoying case, kind of the app being not the best and the settings being a little clunky, but these are small things, and they're things that once you understand how they work, you can overcome them. The only negative I see for some people is the price. It's around 400 bucks for the 2 transmitter kit. I don't think it's a ripoff though. I think it's well worth it. Now that being said, I don't see a huge difference in terms of quality of life over something like a DR10 or an F2. But if having that audio signal recorded directly on your camera in addition to on the recorder is very important to you, which I understand, these mics will do a really good job. And honestly, I don't think anyone is doing a significantly better job. I can't speak towards the long-term build quality, but I don't see any issues with the build quality either. I think in a lot of ways, these are gonna be the exact right choice for a lot of wedding filmmakers. And I hope in the future that Rode continues to innovate on this trajectory. Maybe give me something a little bit smaller and like, you know, a physical hold button. And I think we're getting there, Rode. So if you're on the fence and you got the money and you're looking for a transmitter, receiver, recorder combo that has 32-bit float and really good battery life for weddings, I think they got you covered with this Rode Pro. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. We love doing this stuff for you. Let us know if there's any products you want us to review down in the comments, maybe with the same treatment where we put it to its test. Like, subscribe, and of course hit that alert bell. Thank you so much for dropping by Wedding Film School. We'll see you guys next time.